Hello and welcome to Rule the Waves 3, playing as Japan on Super Large Plus starting in 1890. We have made it to 1904, and as usual we'll go through the start of year review, we'll play through the year. There will be some design work, including looking at some concepts for early Dreadnought type battleships, and maybe a surprise design of another ship class. And near the end of the episode, there may be some political development. So let's jump in. New year, new review. I can actually hit the button. So 1904. And the first slide is, as always, tension and politics. Well, last year, China was up here, but they've dropped down to just 6. But thanks to events, we have managed to get both France and Russia up to 8 and 9 respectively. And I am cautiously optimistic about the prospects of hostilities. Not that I'm a warmonger, but we have unfinished business with Russia, and we have a score to settle with the French. I don't know that, but we do. It's not French Indochina, it's a natural part of the Japanese sphere of influence. No. The US is very upset with Spain, so there could be a war between US and Spain that could potentially also involve Italy, since they're allied to the US. We don't know that yet. My alliance was extended, well, not again last year, but 1902 was it? So it's still in effect. We're still ongoing there. No, not much has changed, but I am optimistic. We should be able to, the game willing, to get into a war with one of two powers here. And actually that would be better than fighting China because of Great Britain. General, always the second slide. We are at 21,500. So world leading in dock size again. The others are right behind, so it's a fluctuating situation, but we are competitive in dock space. That's what's important. Local shipbuilding is okay. It needs to be 25%, but basically everything I build now is local. But you can see unrest has crept up. That's because budget modifiers are well over 20, and that will slowly exhaust the people. You won't get any messages. You can see some tension increase messages in the turn log, but we won't get any pop-up messages until this one it's up to at least 4, I think. I'm not 100% sure, but I think at 4 you can get sort of reports of social unrest or protests. Nothing that will prevent you from continuing, but it's sort of a warning that unrest is on the rise. And, yeah, we might need a war soon, or we would have to lower budget modifier through events. That's not always practical or desirable, so yeah, we'll see. We still have undeveloped shipbuilding industry, so nothing has changed there. Budget is up again, or base resources are up again, I should say. Increased by 731. That's pretty significant. We've been well under 500 for a couple of years now, so that is quite a jump. So compared to the starting, we have more than doubled. We doubled last year, so we're well in excess of double now. Budget modifier at 22, same as last year, but we briefly touched them on 23, and then the parliament or whoever decided to drop us down. Budget continues to increase, though not as much as last year. The build to upkeep ratio is 1.5 to 1, so not quite as good, but some money are put into the balance. into the funds, and we are on a war footing now, I would say, with everything active. So actually, it's pretty good for having an all active fleet. Fleet very close to Italy, or past beyond Italy, in fact, and very close to Russia, I would say. But these numbers are fluctuating with budget modifiers. So we are, in terms of overall resources, we are just behind Italy, but not. We have not gone past them, and we are still a few points behind Russia. So presumably Italy has a lower budget modifier than us, but I think Russia has at least the same as we do. Fleet composition is 12, 16, 8, and 40 plus 20 building combat destroyers. We have 2 battleships building as well and 2 cruisers. I started by scrapping the battleship. Then I scrapped the cruisers, and then I sort of got carried away and just scrapped all my light cruisers as well, leaving me with only 8 light cruisers. That I think was premature, but can't undo it now. And these aren't the most modern light cruisers. But as we have seen in previous battles, light cruisers are not what makes or breaks our war effort, so yeah, it's fine. I have 6 subs, not building anymore. Research, another good year for research. We got those 600-ton destroyers. That was perhaps the most important thing, so that let us design and build much better destroyers. It also lets me dump light forces to low again, because now, still interesting stuff coming, but not as interesting as the 600-ton destroyer. So I switched damage control up to high and light forces to low. But remember, we have advantage in light forces, so it's like a free medium or something. Otherwise unchanged, so we're going hard on getting that first dreadnought researched and built. But also a preheater for machinery, hull, stage 2 fire control equipment, more damaging AP shot, better torpedoes, better subs, not interesting. Mine warfare. We could already lay mines, but now we can lay more mines. Guns, still an issue. We know that turbines are coming because we got a message saying that turbines were sort of out of reach, but we know that means that in X turns they will appear anyway. What do we need now? We need to build dreadnoughts, and dreadnoughts, I think, require quality 0, 12-inch guns, EPS 1, heavy wing turrets for those Hexnaut ships. That's a minimum before I will start building things that resemble dreadnought. Intelligence, nothing here really. So we've been building and rebuilding, so we have lots of stuff working up, and like I commented last time, the first of the Furutakas are losing speed. It took built 1892 and it's 1904, so with reliable engines it took 12 years to decay one. Not I have my battleships organized into 3 divisions. The Satsumas are all in the lead division, and the other 2 divisions are a mix of the older battleships. They are arranged in flag, core. This one is empty for now. I have the cruisers arranged into 4 squadrons of 3 ships, but now that the Katsuras are done with their 9-inch guns, I have a choice. I can either make a full Katsura squadron, but these ships are so similar, I think, that actually having a crop armored ship in the lead here, it's absolutely something that we want to do, and also with armored secondary turrets and everything. So flagship, flagship, flagship. Make flagship, so very uniform, really. And the overall speed is 20, and that is acceptable. Remember, the Takases also have secondary armament. So some of the Furutakas are refits. That, of course, will drive me insane. So with this, okay, this is sort of the second generation Furutakas that haven't been refitted with fire control, because we got new fire control and stuff. The Takases also have right, they have central range finders, so that's fine. These guys are local only. That's not ideal, but it is what it is. So let's look at commanders for these guys. Can we get them some decent commanders? Classic, twice as many below average as above average. So it's pretty hopeless, really. So let's just let the AI deal with it. Think above average. Important. How long would it take to get these going with central firing? That's 3 turns. It's an option. We already looked at the Takase central rangefinder. This one has local only. Will become obsolescent. Oh. It's obsolescent in 2 years. Obsolescent in a few. Okay. Mutsu finished rebuilding. Who has finished reconstruction? Improved subdivision. Hopefully, TPS 1 is next, but it's not a guaranteed tech, so sometimes the game will skip it. Let's hope that's not the case. We have some unexpected delays. Tension. Yeah, I also organized my destroyers into 5 ship groups of 40 destroyers so far, and I put the minesweepers into divisions just to get them out of the way, because otherwise when you add ship here, it's like 40, 60, 80 destroyers that are really minesweepers on top. Also, you can use it to figure out what kind of captains and commanders you want to use for your real ships. It's worth it to make another Hiji derivative. depends on how many technologies were researched. Oh. A new cruiser from Italy has just arrived on a goodwill visit, and the press is reporting all of its advanced features. Reporter what? Well, with a higher budget, we could have just as advanced ships as that one. Trading budget for prestige, yes. Or prestige for budget, absolutely. Nothing. Prestige and tension. I have no idea of... No reason to want high tensions with Italy. Improved turret designs. Yes, absolutely. Better 11-inch guns. Okay. Can I just have my 8 or 6 or 7-inch guns, please? Well, and Cuba continues. We look at our guns. We can see, well, 13 inches not interesting. We don't have 7, 8, and 10-inch. And I'm also pretty sure that some nations have quality 0, 5-inch guns by now. And Germany, I think they even start in 1890 with quality 1, 3-inch guns. I think those represent the German 88. 100% sure. Okay, we need to build something, so either we need to build more cruisers and battleships, or we need to build some light cruisers. Let's open design. And it's so close to the other version that we can call it the Haku. EG and Haku. Of twins in terms of builds. So all this does is give it a little extra weight remaining, but it incorporates all the latest features. Haku, the Tosa, we can do something similar. Has quite a bit of tonnage left. That's fine, but let's get another class name. Tanba, Hajima, Tanba. No need to do a full design review here. It's just me updating them for the most up-to-date technologies. I know it has an arrow belt. And one more turn, yes. 5 ships finished working up. Spy from Italy has been discovered. Well, there is some chance of an increased budget, so why not? Oh, Cuba remains Spanish. Tension with Russia is reduced because they know we can beat them. Yeah, did it jump up? I wasn't looking. Tanba. 2 Tanbas. Hakus. This is fine because, well, we have not too much money. There is no such thing as too much money, but... Oh, that's nice. $3.99. What? What is this? This is not an event I I don't think I've ever seen this event. So they want to sell us a legacy heavy cruiser, a Bukir. I like the name. It's not the worst legacy cruiser ever, but do not bother me with such requests for the... I see no use for this ship in our name. Can you... There is no technological benefit to this. Chikuma. Above average. Captain Nanba has... Oh, incompetent. Oh. No tension changes, nothing. I could maybe just put it on auto. The idea that I would take a more active role in assigning commanders. Lucky commander, I like the sound of that. Minesweeper, we can deal the Minesweeper captain. Spain and the US are at war. Oh. Fire from Russia has been discovered. This is definitely give it maximum publicity. Not just because of the potential gain in resources, but because we want tension. Better fire control. Main battery wing turrets. This is a key element of dreadnought design, I would say. Now we can actually design like a Hexnaut with main battery wing turrets of 11 or 12 inches. I would like to have better guns, and I would like a great many things, DPS and so forth, but we can actually go ahead and do a design study, and then we can update that design as we go forward. Ah, beautiful. 5-inch guns. I like it. Still need 7, 8-inch guns of quality -1, but this is good. Now I need quality 0, 6-inch guns as well. Pension. See, this, I talked about this when we didn't manage to take Sakhalin. This would give opportunities for increased tension. That should go up 2 points, which is absolutely excellent. I don't think I want to rebuild anything here now. One was rebuilt 90. The toners are very close to being obsolete. Maybe I should just go ahead and give them the 2-month refit. No, 3-month refit. I could take one from each division and refit them. One. How much is it to upgrade the 5-inch guns? Several thousand. How much better are they? 10,000 range. So they are actually better than the 6-inch guns. This adds 2,000. It costs 2,000 to upgrade the guns. Okay. And we obviously need better fire control. 1 ton overweight. Fine. We might as well put some more ammunition on them. That's 3,000. Huge investment. Rebuilding those two. Also rebuild these two lines. Upgrade. Central firing. Not sure if this is a good investment, but it's cool to do something with our new. Yeah, before we stop using 5-inch guns or whatever, so we're allowed to have a little bit of fun. Let's look at the budget now. I've made it past Russia, and we are now officially leaving Italy behind. 16.3 and 17.3 about. 17. Okay. We have a higher budget modifier, but we are essentially equal in resources. Still 1,500 less than Russia and France, less than Germany. Okay, but we are getting there. Tension with Britain reduced, that's good. Russia reduced, that is not good. Increased, that is good. China increases 1, 2, 3, 4. And Russia goes down 1 more because we beat them last time. So net loss of 1. But still not horrible. China goes up to a lot. But if we get into a war with China, then having good relations, Great Britain could mean that they decide to break the alliance with China. But still, I would rather fight France or Russia. I'm not so keen on fighting China. They have very little to offer in terms of resistance. Okay, so basically this happens all the time now. Okay, so now we have steam turbines. That's interesting. And we have this better armor and weight savings on armor. Also a key feature, I think, of proper warships. And we have good 11-inch guns. I'd like those to be 12-inch, but 11 and 12-inch, not much of a difference. So if we have to build our first dreadnoughts with 11-inch, that's fine, completely fine. It's not a problem at all. I think 12-inch dreadnoughts are just laughably bad anyway, and we immediately want to go for 14 or 15 inches. So, tension again. Nothing to do with us. France is spying on Germany. Okay. War could break out with China at any moment. I will now rebuild these two. These two will be costly for... What? Oh, it's the... this one we want. That should bring everyone up to an acceptable fire control standard, although these have just the first step of fire control. Maybe these don't have even. Good. Good. And skill levels increasing, so that's also positive. All my destroyers are good now. Guys that are on foreign station are fair, that's fine. Have a long time building still, so I think I will just finish the rebuilds and then I will consider a future the start of a future dreadnought design with 11-inch guns. Been a bit all over the place. 12-inch, 9-inch, 11-inch, 5-inch. 4 cruisers have finished reconstruction. Great stuff. Ah, a colonial crisis with France has arisen. You are asked for recommendation. What is your advice to the government? Safeguard our interests, and if it leads to war, we are prepared to fight it. It would be best to avoid war right now, but prepare for future conflict by strengthening the navy. I'm not ready for war and should make concessions. Sure, not happening. Budget, prestige, and tension. Lots of tension. This is budget and some tension. But we would much rather have France as our opponent and then China. Both because China has less to offer in terms of invadable possessions, in terms of good fights. Let's not forget that we're in it for the battles, not for beating up on the little guy. And of course, because China is allied with Great Britain still, and if we get into a war with China, it could go both ways. And Great Britain could just sit it out. It could go several ways, actually. Great Britain might sit it out. They might break the alliance with China and eventually join me, or they might break the alliance with me and just immediately join China. So I think it's better to try to just hammer in a war with France. It looks like Russia does not want to fight us because they remember the last war. They don't want to fight us because we are stronger and that sort of thing. Now this is my preferred choice. We can also look at the almanac before we finally decide. So in terms of budget, we are very much comparable. In terms of fleet size, it's 460 versus 860, so not quite twice my size, but pretty close to it. In terms of battleships, they are way, way, way ahead. In terms of heavy cruisers, I would say that I own them in every sense of that word. But the important part here is that we can hold our own both in Northeast Asia and in Southeast Asia against any fleet that the French might send against us. Light cruisers, I am too weak in light cruisers. I mean, there is no doubt about that, but yeah, it is what it is. Would take a couple of years to build new ones anyway, so we have what we have. Destroyers, I feel good. 60 combat destroyers, 40 minesweepers. That would serve me well. Subs are completely and utterly irrelevant. Those are coastal subs. So, okay. Cross-deck fire. That lets you create German-style ships. I would have preferred if the game had skipped this tech altogether, but you don't have any choice in the matter. It's partially random, or this is very random. I don't remember what the chance of getting it even is. It's cross-deck fire is 60%. So it's skipped 3 centerline turrets, which is a much nicer tech, giving me cross-deck fire. So thank you for that, game. Now, it's not so bad as you might think. Used correctly, a cross-deck fire ship can save you 2 turrets and still give you the full broadside. Definitely better than a hex node. The issue is later on if you want to refit this ship and have a decent secondary battery. That's not so easy with cross-deck firing ship. So it's not my favorite, and I try to avoid them if at all possible. But we shall just have to research it. Cross-deck fire, tension between Spain and China, Britain and France. They have invented 600-ton, invented steam turbines, main wing turret, quality control. Suddenly our tech is not so bad, huh? Okay, there is hope. I had hoped for a declaration of war, but no. We are still counted as behind. If you look at Germany, side drums, scrap armor, basic weight control, control tops. There is nothing here. I would say that we have better armor, a better machinery. So basically more relevant technologies, but they probably have better guns, more guns. So not important. We are building and rebuilding like crazy, so anything important that's missing commanders? No. New docks completed. And regional war seems imminent on the Asian mainland. Want to step up exports. Strong arms industry, more money and more tension. So we are up to 433 here. It's getting pretty good. So we have moved past France as well. So now we are ahead of Italy, Russia, and France. And we are pretty close to Germany, I would say. So this is good. And we are not burdened by lots of legacy ships like many of these other guys are. Strong arms industry. So not a huge improvement because it's just hull armor, but subs, okay. Spain lost 2 heavy cruisers, US lost 1 light cruiser. Tension, no tension things. Goes up to, is it 12? Yes, there is hope. But with steam turbines, we can also look at the design for a functional light cruiser. I think that should be possible to make now. Just rather sad that we don't have a good 7-inch gun, but it's not important. We only use it for to be able to have that 6-inch secondary battery. But with turbines, any future cruisers that we build will have to have much more speed. Then again, maybe we'll want to just go for battle cruisers. Light cruiser losing speed here. Inevitable, I would say. All right. 8 cruisers. 8 destroyers, 4 cruisers. Better torpedoes. Okay, so short range is 1,000 yards. That's not a lot, but speed is 28 knots. That's fast enough to catch a 19-inch ship, but yeah. But max range is now all the way out to 3000, but speed is only 15 knots. Now you can perhaps appreciate why it's so hard to hit moving ships, because if you shoot at 3000 yards, the speed is only 15, and only the slowest legacy battleships are that slow. Tension, nothing. So it stays at 12, but budget is good because things finished. Production. I didn't start another build run of docks. I kind of forgot, but I see that we are competitive. They are in the... are definitely competitive. So we can start a new one from January, I think. That should be sufficient. Just important to keep in mind what our net... so let's think about designing that dreadnought and that battle cruiser, so we have something to look forward to, and also design that light cruiser. So I will need to look at that. Let's get building, and let's start with the first concept for a dreadnought. It's not one that we will build immediately, but it will form the basis of further future discussions. So, and the graphics are definitely not final, but there are two main ways of building right now without more than 2 centerline turrets, and it is this half hex style, where you have main battery wing turrets and well, 5-6 inch secondary batteries and torpedo tubes and all of that. Build at home, of course, and use the new quality 11 inch guns. They are practically as good as quality -1 12 inch guns, but are lighter, of course, and the ammo is lighter, so it's overall a better gun than the 12 inch Q-1. But of course, the 12 inch Q0 would be much better than the 11 inch, so there is that. This can be built all the way up to 23 kilotons, but above 19,700 we will get that, oh, this is the biggest battleship in the world. So perhaps we can try to stay under that limit. It's either 21 knots, I would say, or all the way to 23. An argument can be made for either 21, that's okay now, and sort of accepts that this first batch of dreadnoughts, they are just going to become obsolete so fast that giving them higher speed is just pointless, because they aren't going to stick with the fleet very long anyway, so why waste tonnage on speed? The other school of thought is, well, both schools are only in my head, so... But the other way of thinking is that if you give it 23 knots, it's not that much tonnage extra, and with 23 it can stay current with your future battleships for quite some years as a second rate, sure, but at least they will have the ability to follow the fleet around and not immediately be left behind if you have to speed up. So you'll just have to make a choice there. Protection is narrow slope deck, no surprises. And this is where the designers say, no, we are scrapping the upper belt. We are going to fight at longer ranges, and we are going to fight with guns that hit so hard that it's practically impossible to fully armor that upper belt anyway. So just armoring it against 3, 4, 5, or even 6 inch guns, and armoring it against quality 0, 6 inch guns, which will arrive at some point and be very common. That's not even practical. So upper belt goes, and the same applies to secondary turrets or secondary battery or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, sure, they are vulnerable to damage now, but a number of light cruisers and cruisers that gonna sneak up on to you at 3,000 yards and just pepper away for half an hour, that's it's not the same as before. But this one has a decent full 6-inch, 14 6-inch, and a 20 or so 5-inch, and the torpedoes and all of that. But the main armament is uniform now, and you have a 6-barrel broadside. I would say no. If you build it at 23, you can do all of this, but you have no TPS and the firepower is too low. 6 barrels of 11-inch, that's not really good enough. However, if you build it at 21 knots, you can build it at considerably lower tonnage than 19,700. You'd cut off several thousand tons. So if you want to build this, build it at 21, but as light as possible, maybe even scale back the secondary and tertiary batteries and some of the torpedoes. Then you could maybe get it all the way down to 16, 17,000 tons. But this is the full build with all the secondaries, tertiaries, torpedoes, all the bells and whistles. We have some weight remaining just to show you how much you can do at 19,700. And that's 23 knots. So you could tweak this, of course. You could get reliable engine. You could drop down to 21. You could tweak the number of torpedoes and guns. All sorts of tricks you could do. So it's possible, but in my opinion, the lack of torpedo defense and the lack of firepower is makes this not so interesting. If, however, you are willing to go down on speed and shave off a little bit in terms of secondary and tertiary, then you can bring it down to, say, 17,200, and that's more than 10,000 less in cost. So that's pretty significant. 76 versus 63. And you could even shave off an inch on the belt and an inch on the conning tower and turrets. Starting to be thin, but it's not gonna last forever. If this is a sort of a throwaway early dreadnought, so you could get it even cheaper and even smaller. You could maybe push it all the way down to 16,500, 16,000, something like that. You could go down on ammo, that sort of thing. Yeah. So you have options here. It's not my favorite choice, but if I'm to build it with just 6 guns broadside, I would definitely go for the slow, cheap, less capable version. Now, the next is a more capable classic hex knot type build, again with the option of going either 21 or 23 knots. It's compromised at 9,700. It should, of course, be the 19,700. Pretty sure you understood that. This gives an 8-gun broadside. That's 1/3 more than the previous ship. And this, I will say, is acceptable. It's not amazing, but it's not bad. The problem is, of course, you need to have 6 turrets for that. So, spend a lot of tonnage on the hex knot layout. Still no TPS, but okay, you cannot have everything. And no upper belt or secondary armor. Again, the graphics not final, just a design study. So here it is, 23 knots, same armor as its smaller cousin with 2 extra turrets, slightly less ammo, slightly fewer secondary and tertiary. And that's 90,000, so quite expensive, but better. Cheaper version would be this 21 knot guy, but had to shave off even more tertiary guns, all but 2 torpedo tubes, and shave off some armor. this doesn't feel right, but it goes below the 19,700 threshold in case that's relevant. You feel that is relevant. So not again. If I were to build a B, I would go for this. If I want to build a A, I would go for this, or maybe even smaller. But we are actually going to wait a little bit to build any sort of dreadnought. And instead we will build this new light cruiser because we have a serious deficiency in light cruisers. It's been... well, we built the last light cruisers sort of in mid 1890s. So, yeah. This takes the Tone class. Builds the Tome, of course. 8,000 is still the cap. But with coal turbines and no secondary turret armor, because again, we don't think we are going to fight the same way as we did before. We can get it up to 25 knots, and I feel that 25 knots, it's not super good. Because soon battle cruisers will arrive, and the first battle cruisers will be in the 25 knot range, and very soon they will be 27 knots. You see where this is going. But on the other hand, if the AI wants to spend its divisions of battle cruisers chasing your 8,000 ton light cruisers, that's fine. They're gonna spend a whole lot of ammo, maybe not even hitting anything. It's a protected cruiser, but with unusually heavy turret armor, because we can actually replace the quality -2 7-inch gun with, well, a quality -2 8-inch gun, or the quality -1 9-inch gun. Never done that on a light cruiser before, so I'm doing it now, basically. Because we can, and because we want to have a little bit fun. The secondaries and the tertiaries still the main focus on this build, but yeah. Armor is, of course, crop, or better than crop. We have had several advances, but the belt and belt extended is still just 3 inches, because that's the max you can have with heavy guns. That's not really good enough against 6-inch guns, but again, if the enemy wants to spend a lot of ammo on sinking this one, they are welcome. So here you can see it, it's the Kizo, and it's 25 knots. It's decently armored. It has 8 inches of armor on the turrets, partially because they are heavy guns that can pack a lot of punch, but also to reduce the risk of turret penetration blowing up the entire ship. So there it is. That's the ship we would be building. Not a very early dreadnought. We'll of course include all the design files as usual, and the presentation, so you'll find it in the same folder as always. CL Gizo. Open. So there it is. Not a lot of tonnage left over, but it's a fun concept. I mean, you could save 200 tons by going down to 7 inches, but yeah, not important. And I mean, I don't have to go full 8 inches, but why not? Why not? So, designing that one and build it, of course. Now we will see 10 destroyers. Scrapping, commissioning, tension with Russia increases. Okay. Maybe we will end up fighting both France and Russia. That would be... Disarmament conference is being held in The Hague. What are your recommendations? Should not be limited. Blah, blah, blah. Any prestige and tension. But no, we want more tension. Tension. or could be that tension with Russia spike as well because of that. But we haven't had a fight against two big opponents yet, so it's not really a proper rule the waves campaign. No, that's okay. Yeah, so we are above the line here. So go to the build screen and build 2 Kizos. Can certainly build more in a while. And we were going to build out the docks, so let's do that. Then we are set. We have a war, we have a 1905 review, and we need to do a 5-year review. Wow. So much stuff. So much stuff to do. Yeah. Now, anything else I want to have a look at before we leave? Guys are very angry with me. The French have a fleet moving Southeast Asia. Have a base capacity of 120. I have 140, and I have an ally there, so I can have 400. So not a problem. I can outbase them. 400 is more than my entire fleet, so that's fine. Trade protection 13. Fine. I have more than enough destroyers. The minesweepers on trade protection. I need to arrange the new destroyers in villas. I have 2 light cruisers. Building. Yeah, I need to review France's ships in more detail, but we can quickly have a look at the stack that's moving towards us. It's 3 battleships, 3 heavy cruisers, 4 light cruisers, 11 destroyers. Wow. That I can meet with my entire fleet. That is now all good, except these guys that are working up, but that's fine. The uniform, nothing slower than 20 on the cruiser front. So this could be a good war. I don't think we need Britain to intervene, but using her bases, that's always a plus. And that's our wrap. I think pretty interesting episode. We have a war starting in January with France. And they have a battle fleet on the way to Southeast Asia, and we have our battle fleet more than ready to meet them. It's all organized into little divisions attached to each other, filled with mostly fully refitted or brand new ships. Crew quality is good all across the board. What could possibly go wrong, right? So thank you for watching, and see you again in the next one.